Bino's an FBI agent.
Yep. Copy.
Yes, he's on to you. See, like he's looking at you.
He can smell my dog.
Beans. So we have two guests on today. Welcome to the podcast. Hello.
Hi.
We're rolling. We already started rolling. That's
we are?
That's how we're going to like introduce the whole podcast. Is you talking about FBI agents. You're definitely on the blacklist now.
I know. I don't know what for, but we're about to find out.
Yeah, quite interesting. That's all right. So, yes, I hope this is whatever. We're going to figure this out because this is...
second guest is the doggo.
Yeah.
AKA FBI Agent 1.
Yeah, he's my sidekick, I reckon.
Yeah. Yes, we had the beautiful Haylea on today. Hello.
Hi.
So I'm just getting the tech shit sorted, and we've had a bit of complications. We're just kind of rolling the punches. I think we're like 4 podcasts backlogged at the moment. We haven't.
I think we're like 5 or more, aren't we?
I don't know, but I'm gonna edit some stuff today and release some stuff.
It's definitely a bit more.
We're doing a lot of editing today for the podcast. So, but we have the fantastic Haylea on today.
Hi.
Not so much being a is just here to hang out.
So, Haylea, we were talking before.
Yes.
Sounds like you're quite thoroughly into your fitness.
I am.
Is that the sort of, the general sort of embodiment of the description that you tell people when they sort of like go, hey, what do you do with yourself?
Actually, no.
It isn't?
It's not. It's definitely a part of who I am. Only recently, though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, only recently. The way I'd describe myself is probably a gift from nature.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. So I believe I find myself very embodied in enjoying time in the sun, in the ocean, or just literally sitting in the grass. So finding time to do that, I make a priority because I find myself being my most genuine self in those situations. So I believe that I was a gift of nature, and because of that, I am who I am. Totally pure, different to every other person, and with that comes many other things like fitness. It's a part of who I am, and many other things that I'm not going to get into, but it's definitely a part of who I am. But
For sure.
a gift of nature.
So Haylea and I had a lovely little walk the other day. First time we kind of hung out. So like, I'm just going to give you a backstory of how her and I met.
Please.
Also, forgive the cold sore situations as well, and forgive Zach's peeling, sun peeling.
I know. As soon as I walked in, he's like, "Oh, don't look at my face."
Don't look at my face.
I'm like,
so
"Why?"
Self-conscious.
I looked at him. I was like, "What's wrong with your face?"
Herpes.
You can't even see. You can't even see it.
Anyway, so I got herpes today. So no. So backpedaling to when Haylea and I first met. So everyone that's probably watched the podcast before with Erin.
Yeah.
Haylea actually viewed it. I think you commented, messaged, or whatever as well, and we kind of had like a brief one. But I walked into the gym, passing Erin. I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then she introduced Haylea. She's like, "This person you need to get on the podcast. She's so good." Blah blah blah. And I was just like, "Okay, I'll take your word. All right, don't kill me."
Yeah, she was young.
Anyway, we ended up. I was like, "Okay, so let's link up. Let's have a little walk. Let's have a little chat and see what story you want to tell." And we had a fantastic walk. What a great, interesting walk, right?
It was gnarly.
Yeah, we ended up, we were talking about, so we just went for this coffee walk in Terrigal and just kind of getting to know each other and uncovering any kind of story that she has, which she has a great story and, great philosophy and values around that. I'm really keen to dig in deep, but I just want to talk about this story about us walking around Terrigal.
Went from one extreme to the next.
It went, bro.
We both finished this walk going, that was a lot.
It was hectic.
Well,
right?
All right.
That's it. That's all we're leaving.
That's all.
Yeah,
Part 2 coming soon.
Cliffhanger. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Wow, fantastic. We can end the pod right there.
Yeah.
Done. Finished.
Exactly right.
So tell me, what was the main sort of
the situation?
touch points?
So,
what did you take away?
What happened? What I took away. No, it wasn't just us, man. We were walking. After boardwalk, you kind of go at the back there and you walk up
Start
to
going up the stairs.
Yeah, indeed.
And just before we went past that fish and chip shop where the boat ramp is, we were talking about something to do with energies or whatever it is, and there was this older lady that was in front of us. All right, and we were just talking about energies and
diving deep into our emotions.
Yeah, exactly right.
And uncovering things about ourselves that we weren't subconsciously aware about.
Yeah, exactly right. Just getting into the deep talks, and this lady turned around and just started started talking about life and talking about things
Yeah,
and shit like that. And
we found out she was like a life coach and a soul like worker.
soul healer.
Yeah, she
Oh,
like
right.
She was like probably like late 60s or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to like diss on the age there or anything like that, but if that's around like that late 60s or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, we ended up just she kind of
joined our walk.
Yeah.
She joined our walk and started
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
giving her opinion and teaching us almost about
Yeah.
what she did, but it was a lot.
it was
like,
a lot on. Like it was a
Yeah.
lot on. It was quite interesting, and it was quite she's a soul healer, and we're talking about so much to unpack from it because like
Oh,
it was
yeah,
such a
it was a-
it was such a
Well,
by
we've
the
got
end of it,
time. Unpack it.
man. Like I don't even know where to start with it.
I know. We were talking. She kind of was just. She started with something along the lines of why we aren't aware of what we do subconsciously, and how our chakras and how the universe has created us into acting certain ways and
Yeah.
being certain ways, which we kind of were talking about and we totally understand and get.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But she was taking it to another level of
She was drawing like
Oh my
angelical
God.
signs, and like she was like speaking to, like she went to a part where I was like, okay, this is a bit too far fetched maybe, but it was still pretty interesting because there's
It
a
was
lot
a
of
lot.
philosophy and values that came with it, with different
Yeah.
perspectives and stuff. But she said she goes meditating up near Terrigal there and sings to the angels, and the angels bring her back like this vision
Yeah.
of life, and she she comes back with like after these meditations and does these angelic drawings and stuff like that that mean certain things in life, and
Yeah.
she showed us, and I was just like,
she was showing
okay,
us
that's
all
actually
these
fucking
drawings.
pretty interesting.
They look
like,
really cool. They're kind of almost
Yeah.
like mandalas. In
Yeah.
a way, is like the simplest form I could probably
Yeah.
describe them.
So she draws inspiration from the university
Energies
angels,
and
Yeah, exactly.
and
angels.
she translates that into her drawings. Is that right?
yeah,
Exactly
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Does she then use these drawings for others, or what does she do with these drawings?
I think she almost does, but
Yeah.
she almost does a drawing once working with someone. She
I
like
see.
feels
Yeah.
their
Yep.
energy and
Yep.
what they need help with, like soul wise or
Yeah.
healing wise, and then she'll go create an image for
Can
them.
she interpret these drawings, or is it just something that comes
A little bit,
through?
yeah. She didn't go too much into it because she was just spitting out so much stuff. And
Interesting.
what the whole overarching kind of situation of it was it
Indeed.
was just like we were catching up for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how deep it went, like instantly. You
It
know
was
what I mean?
insane.
It wasn't just like, oh yeah, so what do you do? Tell me a story and stuff like that. We like literally left just going like, holy fuck, like
Yeah.
it's the first time we've ever interacted with each other, and this is like probably it takes so long to like get into like a situation where you're just talking about like the crazy deep shit, you know?
Oh yeah,
And-
like
and it was-
past traumas, like that came up.
Yeah.
when she was talking. It was like past traumas, past hurt, and past lives, like everything under the sun that you would think of, like
Indeed.
spiritually. She brought up in that 20-minute conversation with
Right.
us.
So is that a particular type of journey that you're on yourself?
In a way, yeah. So I've dealt with a lot growing up. As I was telling Nick on our walk, and I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah, I'm ready to dig
Ready
deep
to go into it now?
Let's
All
I want to hear
Let
the
me
story.
sit
of
back.
Hayley, so
So I grew up with the most amazing, supportive family. They
Mhm.
still are. I'm really close with my parents and my younger sister. Close with my extended family, cousins,
Mhm.
and all that. They're like my friends. I pretty much had the best life. I was very gifted. I was very lucky, very fortunate from my parents and my family. Got to the age of around 15, and I noticed 15 is usually the age for all teenagers, but specifically girls where hormones really start to change. And this started to happen, and I'm a very happy person. I don't get sad. It takes a lot for me to cry. And all of a sudden, I started getting panic attacks in class.
Wow.
Never had one before.
Yep.
I remember the first one I had, I sat down in history next to my friend Abby, and I've looked at her and everything went blurry. And I started freaking out, and I had no idea why.
Right.
And I had to physically leave the room
Wow.
and take a minute because I was like, what is going on? I kind of just brushed it off. It was the first time it ever happened. I was like, maybe I'm just a bit overwhelmed. We're back at school. It's, it's year 9. I put a lot of pressure on myself to do good at school. And then just following weeks, I started crying more than once a day for no reason. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just hormonal. I would expect it to be because I'm at that age. I'm not too sure what's going on. But it got to the point where it was happening too much to be hormones.
Right.
And my gut instinct was to just go talk to someone about it, which it took a long time to build up the courage to go up to your parents and be like, hey, I don't know why I'm crying all the time, but I need to go talk to someone. This is not normal.
Yep.
My mum said, yep, that's totally fine. You know, you're probably just hormonal. And I'm like, it could be as simple as that. And I just need to go rant to somebody. It could be as simple as that. I don't know. Then my dad goes, maybe you're just overdoing it. Because at the time I was at school at a part-time job. I was playing netball, going to dance for 30 hours a week and taking acting and singing lessons. So I was full on for a 15-year-old girl, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But we went to my GP and was getting a referral to go talk to somebody. And as we're there, it was 9 a.m. and he's asked to take my blood pressure for a checkup. Hadn't seen me in a long time. He takes my blood pressure, and it was so abnormal that it was super high. He said, have you done anything this morning? And I was like, no, got dressed. It's 9 a.m. ready for school. Going to school after this, actually. And he's looked at me and he's like, your blood pressure's that high. It's almost, and your heart rate, is as high as if you've done a 30-kilometer marathon. Right. He's like, so I'm just going to send you off for a blood test. And I was like, all right. But me just thinking this is every day, just a checkup. Yeah. That's all it was. Didn't know what he was checking me for. I just thought it was procedure. A couple of weeks pass and mum and dad approached me. I'm sitting on the lounge and they've told me I have something called overactive thyroid syndrome and Graves' disease.
Right. So what are those?
So overactive thyroids are hormones that are overactive. So I have too many of them, and they sit in your thyroid, and they are commonly found in young, healthy women. So it was a common thing and it wasn't something to stress about. And I was like, perfect. Okay. We can get medicine. We can fix this. No stress. But unfortunately, with my case of how bad it was at the really, really bad side of it. I also got the Graves' disease. And Graves' disease is an autoimmune disorder where your white blood cells attack each other instead of the bad bacteria.
Wow.
So with that, I was trying to comprehend what the hell was happening. I didn't understand it, but I was like, okay, well, I've got this thing. Mum and dad are obviously going to help me get through this, and they did. But I was in a really awkward age bracket because my GP was trying to find a specialist for me. And I was too old for the child doctors and too young for the adult doctors.
Wonderful.
It was great. It was a great time. He was really stressing out because I didn't know this at the time, but mum later on told me that my GP was that stressed that I was going to, if I didn't find a specialist in a week, I could have dropped dead any second.
Really?
My heart rate was at 140 beats per minute. Sitting down.
Do you know what the average is? What's the average?
70.
70. Wow. Jesus
double.
Christ.
So imagine you finish at the gym and your heart is like, that was my heart constantly.
How did it feel at that time though? Did it feel like you?
I couldn't tell.
Or was it just because it was
a
normal?
slow build?
It was
just a slow build.
It was
just
a normal
became
thing
natural
for me. So I was just, and I never picked up on it.
Yeah.
So we found a specialist and he finally took me on, and I had 1,000 questions for him because I was trying to understand what the hell was happening to me. And he's basically just told me like, Graves' disease symptoms are like sadness, depression, clammy hands, eyes swelling, heart rate, bloating, all this stuff. And then I approached him with the question of, is this life-threatening? Because it's called Graves' disease. That sounds like it's going to send me straight to the grave.
Yeah. It's got a destination attached to the name.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just remember hearing him say, it can be.
Yeah.
Broke down in tears. I've never been so terrified in my life. And he basically just said, but in my 30 years of experience, I've never had someone die. Like, you're not going to die.
It's always good when they say that shit.
And I'm like,
Jesus
I understand that.
It could be.
Yeah, but don't worry.
But
as long as I've been practicing medicine, I've never seen one person die.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God, brother.
Thanks, guys. Got my back. But
And then meanwhile, it's like I've only he's like, I've only actually ever seen 2 people.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah,
we're
that's
not
the
gonna tell you
subtext.
that part.
But
say.
I know someone else that's been doing it.
He's like, well, someone else that I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
I had all these questions, and he basically explained to me I was going on thyroid medicine
Okay.
and also something known as beta blockers to help my heart rate,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
a common medicine used for situations like that.
Indeed.
And straight away started taking them. I had to take 3 lots of the thyroid tablets and 2 of the beta blockers in the morning and the afternoon. So I was taking about 12 tablets a day.
Wow.
He said, though, with along the medicine I was taking, I'd be getting hair loss, weight gain, more hormones shifting because they'd been at a peak that they need to settle the hell down. They need to calm down. And I had to stop all activities for it to work. And I said, okay, sure. I didn't do that. My mind, after bawling my eyes out probably for about an hour, I was like, if this thing has the potential to kill me, like, serious, like, because mine was so bad, it could have happened at any point. It was so bad. I was like, if I'm that close to the brink of death, why the hell would I stop what I'm doing? Why would I stop living because of this thing? Why would I give it like the power to stop my life?
Sure.
So I kept playing netball, kept dancing, kept going to school, and I didn't tell a single soul about what was going on. Yeah. Because I pretty much, not even my extended family, because I didn't want anybody to treat me as the sick girl. And so I kept it quiet for as long as I could, and I happened to have a netball game where it got too much for me because my metabolism was slowing down and my energy levels were dropping back to just a normal person's, but because I had been at such a high with everything, it was a lot of a big change. And I remember passing out on the netball courts, and that's when I had to tell my coach what was kind of going on. And at the time, that coach, she started treating me different. And that's why I was like, this is why I don't want anybody to know. And kept it quiet until I became in remission, and it's where I'm still at now. So, but yeah, it was a lot, and it gave me a very deep perspective on life and truly living it completely to the fullest. When you get close to something, and take it away.
It's probably such a broad question and such a generic one, but within this, what was the biggest perspective change? I know you probably already answered it, but if you can elaborate more from this whole situation, how could like this benefit your life in a positive way?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure everyone could probably get them to be like, don't take things for granted and do things that you enjoy and all that kind 100%. Of stuff. But if you can elaborate in your own personal terms.
All right. I get what you're coming at.
Do you know what I mean? Not just be like, just don't waste your time. You know what I mean?
Don't waste time.
Yeah.
Live your life.
Exactly right.
I think just truly learning the art of happiness and self-love is the key to the best form of life. With that sickness, yes, there is so many positives out of it. Like you were saying, like you learn to take life seriously, and anything can happen. A lot can happen in such a short amount of time. I went from crying every day to finding out I was on the brink of death. Death was knocking on the door.
And what's interesting, just on that as well, what's interesting, it happened at such a young age. Like you've got so much life ahead of you. And crazy. Usually in these situations, most of the time, and like have to applaud you for like the way you viewed this at a young age has been so, it seems like you've come from like such an experienced soul, whereas like a lot of people can just be like, oh fuck, like freak out, and just like you've actually taken stride in trying to benefit, like tell the story, but also like benefit your own life and do things you want to do. A lot of the time people like find near death at a later age in life, and then they're like, oh I'm just going to spend more time with my family or this or that. That's one thing that's quite interesting about your story is it's not so much what you've gone through, but what you've gone through and seen, and it's changed your perspective where you're at now.
It taught me a lot of sympathy. I was always I was a very sympathetic person growing up. I'm a naturally big carer for anybody and everybody. But I learnt a lot more sympathy. I was like, wow, if I'm going through this and I'm getting the best medical attention and help that I have, what about that 4-year-old girl that has cancer and it's terminal?
Yeah.
It just you always feel bad for those people who are worse off, but it really gave me sympathy of, holy crap, like, I still won't ever be able to understand what it's like to have the worst of the worst type of illnesses, but just being like close to it, I was just like, holy crap, like, I can't even imagine what they're going through and how they're feeling. And you tend to see like a lot of those people are so positive because that's all it is. You've just got to smile and you go through it and just enjoy what you have 1,000%. So I learned a lot of sympathy with my condition, and so I had the best support team around me. I had my mum, my dad. When we told my extended family, they were always there. And because it's normally a genetic thing that happens, and we tracked back to almost, I reckon, close to the beginning of the 1900s, and not one person we could find in my family that had it. So I don't know what it can stem from, just stress and anxiety and overworking, but typically it's genetic and we couldn't even find it.
Right. Well, maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't have the understandings of it. I don't know. Maybe they didn't really question it.
Well, and because you just don't know medic history back then.
Exactly,
you don't know if it's even documented.
They're probably just like, you're tired. Or
yeah.
Even now, like that idea of just, if you didn't have a GP that was active, you could have just been like, oh, you're just hormonal. Yeah. Like, that's it.
No,
you know, because symptoms.
Yep.
You know, you could have a cold and you know, have symptoms that are so related to like other things as well. Like, things are so relatable.
Apparently, according to Google, if you have a headache, you've got cancer.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, you can relate everything back to cancer, right?
Exactly, which is horrible, but
So where does that lead us now? Like, where is the future of where you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you inspire to be? Because what's interesting is, like, you hit this pivotal moment, and of course you're never not going to know what the other side of this path would have been if you didn't know about it or if you didn't have it. Yeah. So where now has it kind of led you on the path? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Give us a 5-year plan.
5 years? Okay. I'm one for not really planning things, so that's a really hard question. Because it gives me, when I went through it, I was just like, I'm going to live life on a flow. I'm not going to really plan anything. Always have an idea of what you want to do and what you want to like become, which I do. I want to help people. I've always said I've wanted to help people since a young age. I was a natural like mother to my little sister, my mum says, and that's why I'm so a motherly person. It was started with my little sister when she was born. I was 3.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. She's amazing. Love my little sister. And basically, I think it took a long time for me to understand what I wanted to do. But I'm a dance teacher.
Oh, fantastic.
So I work with a lot of little kids, and I love little kids. I think they're very much like me in the way of being curious and wanting to just learn everything and do everything. They just want to do something and just enjoy it, which I think is the most fun way to be. And I've been that way my whole life. So I've kept that alive. And I remember teaching one of my students, and he couldn't tell his left from right. He was like, I was like, all right, guys, let's go to the left. And he was like, we didn't know which way to go. So I taught him the little trick, you know how you do. The trick, L is the left. I do that still to this day sometimes.
Nice.
And I taught him that, and he was like, oh, okay. I just thought he would, you know, do it once and kind of just go about his day. And then months later, I said, all right, let's go to the right. And he's gone like this, and he's headed to the right. And it was so simple. But the fact that I taught him that simple trick and didn't think much of it, and he still uses it to this day. Yeah, wow. It felt really good to be like, oh my gosh, like he's going to now know that forever. And I kind of helped that. Yeah. So yeah, I took this is my second year off school. I graduated 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I've just been working part-time, traveling, doing what I want, almost just enjoying my life as it comes. And I finally made the decision at the end of this year I'll be enrolling to do primary school teaching
Oh, very
to
nice.
keep that passion alive.
Did we already discuss that the other day?
We did.
Yeah, we did. I thought so because I was literally just sitting here again. I'm like, oh, you'd be a good primary school teacher. Subconsciously, I'm already thinking about that, right?
Yeah, no.
I think like this really important, really important. And I know it's such a broad thing. It's such a generic thing, but I believe that generic things are generic for a reason because
Yeah.
most of the time it works. You know what I mean? Or it's like such a true thing that we all embody, and understanding that no matter what age you're at or no matter what you're going through, you can always change it up. You can always do something different.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? Like if you want to be a
totally.
primary school teacher for the next 5 years, do that. And then if you want to become an astronaut or try to
Go
accomplish
do it.
that, go do that. Like
100%.
and like even what we're going through
Yeah.
right now,
Totally.
like
Both
him
of
and
us,
both
yeah.
of us, we're going through a massive transition period. And I think like this podcast, this brand is just kind of a meeting point for us.
Totally.
But we're on two different kind of like we're going in the same direction of what we kind of
You're
want
on two different
overarching, but
paths.
we're on different paths. And but like it's so like, but where he's come from, where I've come from, he used to be an artist, like
Yeah.
an actual
Yeah.
painter.
Mm.
And I used
Hell
to,
yeah.
like I'm just transitioning out of becoming a barber to going to the wedding industry a lot more.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, a lot of people looked at us like we're a little bit older. I'm nearly 28. How old are you now? 27, 8, 9, 10?
I don't
11,
know.
12,
I
13.
have to
We're not
ask.
gonna
I
think
have
about
to
it.
ask Av.
Yeah, right.
I really don't know.
How old am I again? Yeah.
No, 25. 25.
Yeah,
25.
sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
But like the thing is, you look at like it's such a generic thing. It's just like, oh, you have to have your shit. What's that? What's that, Benny? Quick. You have to have your shit sorted out at 28, 29,
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
You really don't though. And that's what's crazy. You don't need to have anything sorted like at all. And I think that's what sucks about school is like school's a great tool. Obviously, everyone needs to go to school at some point, primary school, high school, but school is not the be all and end all. And
Oh no way!
the pressure that I remember the teachers putting on us in year 11 and 12, like you have to get good marks if you're going to uni. You
Yeah.
have to do this. I remember walking into the HSC and my friends were throwing up minutes before because they
Wow.
were just so stressed.
Wow.
And they were stressed because I wasn't. They were
Mm.
like, aren't you freaking out? Like, oh my God, like you haven't barely studied. And I'm like, dude, like, so what? Like, who cares? Like, I've studied, I've put in effort, I've done the best I can. No, I'm not going to uni, so I'm not stressed on that part. But,
Sure.
but like, even if you don't get in straight away, what's the worst that's going to happen?
I mean, you can just go back like a couple of years later as a
That's
senior
exactly
student.
Yeah,
right.
like I look at it this way.
Like, they're not gonna not take your money.
Exactly right.
Like
That's all it is. It's like oh,
guaranteed government money
if you
for
got,
them.
yeah, exactly right. If you got a shit mark, that's fine. We'll find a way to get you in,
Hey,
brother.
don't
worry
Fine.
about it.
Give you some 60
They
grand.
just want the numbers.
Just wait 2 years, come back, senior student, boom,
Yeah, it's totally
no,
fine.
sign it.
Like
exactly.
I was looking at I ended up getting my HSC results back the other day, the other month actually, because I was actually going to think about becoming a secondary school teacher,
Oh, that'd be awesome.
and then I was just like, you know what, fuck that, I'll make more money doing wedding shit.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
you know
gonna
what I
say, what a terrible
mean?
choice.
I know, right? But I was just
Not
like,
for a job, but for you specifically.
yeah, I know, right? But like, you know, and what's really funny, they put all these expectations on, like, you know, if you get high marks, you're going to get a good job and get paid well and stuff like that. Do you know what? I got less than 30 in my ATAR, and I look at that, I'm like, yeah, that's fucking awesome, because
Here
I've
comes
made
the
probably
flex.
more money than any of these motherfuckers who are
Here's
like
the flex.
academically
Here's
yeah.
the flex.
smart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Honestly.
I
I
saw
made-
the flex coming a mile away.
Exactly
I
right.
saw it.
Slowly coming out, yeah.
Everyone
Boom.
probably back at school were like, oh, this guy's just probably going to be like a labourer or some shit like that. And I was just like, I made more money last month than your whole fucking year, brother.
Hang on,
Chill
hang on.
out.
They're not wrong. I mean, what are you doing at the back there, right?
Oh, bro.
Yeah, you're labouring every.
Yeah, I'm labouring, but I'm labouring on
Yeah,
my
I
own
know, I'm just
terms.
kidding.
You know what
I'm
I mean?
just
Yeah.
kidding.
I'm
I'm
labouring
kidding.
on my own terms.
It's your
but
own way.
no,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's so it's so generic that, like, you know, you got to go to school. And, like, I'm just clipping this shit for TikTok.
Yeah, yeah,
videos.
I know.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I'm
I
doing. You
couldn't
know what I'm
tell.
doing. So, but it's so true.
It is so
I ain't
true.
lying. Like, I made a bit of money, like, from this
Oh,
year and stuff like that, or
totally.
even last year. They met, like, just through business opportunities and stuff like that, and doing the
Yeah.
things, just doing shit, right?
Yeah, never saying no.
Yeah, exactly right. And being open to opportunity and being, what did Aaron say? Be curious, stay
Be-
curious.
stay
Stay curious. Stay curious is such an interesting thing because
Get out of here. Get away.
did the dog just...
I really don't like this dog.
I'll take him inside.
Get out. Go away.
Oh my God, that's rank.
Yeah, I can't smell it. Get out of here.
Go.
Literally
Go.
bum to your face.
Fantastic. Leave that door open.
Let the wind in.
Leave the door open. Please don't shut
I
it.
can't smell anything.
Well, you're
Come
a bit
put
lucky,
your head
aren't
over
you?
here, mate. Go sit in... No, don't shut it, please.
But anyway, I can't smell it, which is awesome. So
What was the
Smell
thought?
it.
What were you thinking when you were looking at the the secondary teaching? Was that just you trying to be like, oh, where's the safe option? You know,
yes,
I'm a bit scared.
there's that. I look. I just
What can I fall back on? I'm a bit scared, type of thing.
I think that's
Yeah.
uni for everyone, really. Everyone's scared to take the leap.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the same measuring stick to used for opportunity is the same stick used for risk.
exactly right. And that like my mindset has completely shifted, as you can probably see, and probably we've discussed and shit. So,
Yeah.
but I think like there was an element of me wanting that safe option.
Yep.
And I was like, oh yeah, I can make good money from like, teaching, and you can, right? Like
Definitely
technically you
can.
can make good money over the year before you know this. I just know how your brain's. This is past tense, right? This
No,
is
honestly,
all
I
different,
have
Nick. All right.
No, I'm so yeah.
You
like,
can. You
these
can
are
make
my
up
own
to like
thoughts, but
90
I'm
to
like,
100 grand a year
It's-
of being a casual teacher or a teacher, and the
Yeah.
opportunities of
Totally.
traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
But my mindset shift. I'm like, fuck that. I'll make 100 grand a month. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it took a while for me to change that mindset and stuff like that. And of course, we've repeated this a lot.
Well, you
Thank
don't
you,
know, you
Daddy.
don't know, right? Like that's what we
Yeah.
were talking about the other day, right?
Yeah.
It's just a level of knowledge,
Yeah.
and it's just like people go like, oh, I could make that X amount in a year, because the ignorance debt for like jobs that do
Yeah.
that is very low.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, I know how to do that. I could just go get that, and then that will put me in a position to do that. But then like you go like, okay, well, what's the cost in between of making like
Totally.
$1 million a year or 100,000 a year,
Yeah.
100
No, exactly.
million a year?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know. And it's like you've just got to pay down your ignorance debt
Totally.
to work it out.
100%.
And just clarifying what he means by ignorance debt. It's kind of like instead of getting paid with money, you get paid with knowledge.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
And say for instance, a lot of people are like, oh no, I'm not going to do that job unless I get paid. It's like, well, you got to learn the skill first. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And a lot
totally.
of people forget that you've got to. Sometimes you just got to do shit for free.
Yeah.
And it's not for free money. You're still getting paid. You got to look at it in the way that you're still getting paid, but with
Totally.
knowledge.
No,
And that
100%.
knowledge will be the investment that gives you the cash.
And it's not even just like you go do that stuff. It's like you go pay people to learn this stuff too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
find people that
There's
have done all these
They've
sorts of
done
free
the
things.
stuff
work.
on YouTube. Or
They
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
like master classes on. They've got courses online. Just throw money at it. Like
yeah.
you're never not gonna. It's not gonna go to waste. Like people always like in the comments. They're always like you see those videos where they're like, "Oh, I'm not buying your course. I'm not buying your course." I'm like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Like, what you
exactly
think you can't
right.
get that money back?
Yeah.
If
Like-
you do it well, you can definitely make it back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
for sure.
in double time.
Oh
So,
yeah. Well, you got to think about like if say for instance you buy a course. Like I mean, it's interesting, right? I think you got to relate it to like not relate it, but like you look at universities, right? A 4-year course, you pay 60 grand, right?
Yeah.
Just to get
Minimum.
just you know what I
Minimum.
mean? Just to get a job that's going to pay you 70
Like-
grand a year,
Yeah.
right? It's fuck
Yeah.
all. Or you could pay someone 5 to 10 grand. That's a mastermind course for a week or some shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
they'll
that
teach
could
you like
elevate
everything
you,
they did 20
elevate you
years.
to getting
Yeah.
20 grand a month or like whatever,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And it's like that investment is just made 5 grand investments made you 15 grand.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
right.
it's like within that month. And it's you can then take another couple of courses to invest 50 grand into it and you make $1 million. You know what I mean? of course, you still got to apply those things that they're teaching you. You just can't be like, oh, I learned this. Where's my money?
Oh, yeah.
You know, but at the same time, the more skills you acquire, the more knowledge you have. And that's a lot of people come to me and be like, oh, you're always doing so many different things. It's like, yeah, I'm acquiring knowledge.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
A lot of people like give me shit for doing so many different things.
All the time.
I'm doing my renovation out the back. And if it wasn't for me just doing the things from like shop fit outs and like learning and like plastering and painting and building and shit,
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be saving cash on that.
No, exactly.
You know?
A shit ton of cash.
Like
A lot of
thousands
money.
and thousands of dollars.
A lot.
But I've acquired that knowledge
Totally.
to do that. It's the same for this, setting up podcasts, setting up, like, I've just taught myself how to film shit, film weddings, all that kind of stuff. And now I'm able to generate X amount of dollars per month and year from that.
Yeah.
And it's to go with so many other things. And I think like the more opportunities and situations you say, stay curious, don't be shy to say no to things. Unless you really just like, I don't really want to do that. Of course,
Yeah,
you've got to
wanna
align
do
with
it,
what you want to do.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly
stay
right.
true to what you want to do.
It's like if you're like, oh, I don't really want to fucking, I don't know, go bungee jumping or something like that. You don't have to do it. You know what I mean? But
Don't have
because at
to.
the end of the day, nothing really matters. And
Nothing matters.
But
we're on a floating rock.
yeah, we could go deep with that shit.
Oh,
anyway,
we
but-
so could.
But yeah, from this,
Totally.
of course, just focusing back onto you,
Sure.
any inspiring words for, say, younger humans? It just doesn't have to be women or whatever. It can be for guys, girls, fucking
Totally.
babies, old people, whatever it is. From your perspective, what could you leave the audience with that will add some value? From your personal
Yeah,
experience, your story that we just told.
Yeah. Learn the art of self-love. 100%. Everyone always talks about, you know, caring for yourself and doing the things to help yourself. And it's true. If you don't, you'll never truly be happy. It's like when they say you have to love yourself before you can love another, because it's just not going to end right. You know, make sure your priorities are you first before everything else. And just making sure that you're doing things that make you happy and release those endorphins and dopamines, whether it's as simple as waking up and pulling up your blind to see the sun come in. It could be as simple as that. It could be clean sheets on your bed. It could be just walking in the sun. It could be hanging out with friends. It could be just having a cooked meal.
And what's interesting about that kind of stuff as well, and I think we have to push it a little bit here, it doesn't have to be meditate, write in a journal,
No.
go to the gym. It doesn't have to be those generic things. Yes, they are great
They're great.
vehicles
100%.
to achieve those things, but if you generally aren't someone that wants to go to the gym, don't go to the fucking gym.
Don't.
You know what I mean? You don't have to be all ice baths or meditation. It's like, I generally, like in the morning, I just want to get up, make a coffee and get into work straight away. That's my meditation. That's my life.
Yeah,
And
everyone has a different form of meditation. For me, it's waking up and going and patting my dog. That's the first thing I do in the morning, because when I pat my dog, it's actually known when you pat an animal, your stress levels decrease. And dogs are just like the best little companions.
except for that little dog who just fucking
Just
took a,
farted.
took a shit on your fucking feet, man.
I'm not happy about
No.
that.
But-
He did a fight in the bed last night as well. Hannah was like, "Get this fucking dog out of here." I was like, I can't smell anything, man.
Why can't you smell it?
I don't know.
What's going on?
I just refuse to. You know what I mean?
Totally.
If I don't smell it, it doesn't exist.
yeah,
100%.
self-love.
Yeah, self-love. But that's
Me
all-
first, motherfucker.
Yeah, protect
Me
yourself.
first. But yeah, that's all it is. It's just finding what makes you happy and just not caring about what people say and what people do. That's something I really learned throughout life is if you care what people think, you're never going to truly be happy and you're never truly going to know yourself. So just take the time into getting to know yourself, what truly makes you happy without the pressure of social media, your family, your friends. Just being you. What do you enjoy? It could be anything, and making sure that you take the time to do that. And if you feel like you need a day of just doing a day for you, whether that's taking day off school, off work, do it. You need to.
for sure.
It's important.
Yeah.
100%.
Zach, anything to add to that?
No, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
sick.
I think that was surmised really well.
Yeah.
Thank you so
No,
much.
it's good.
No, thank you guys.
Guess you, as Elliot would say. Guess you. Guess you.